Hey guys, it's John Poole here. This is a tutorial on the SQL Database Communicator plugin that I built. It's also how you guys can use SQL in on-rail. You would only need this plugin though, and I try to make that very clear in the description. You would only want this plugin if you're going to have dedicated game servers that are also Windows. Um, if you guys are, say you guys are making a listen server instead or a single player game, but you want to talk to a database, that should be done through probably VA REST plugin, which is a free plugin that can do HTTP requests, and you'd have to have an API because you never want to give client or a player access to your database or able to execute queries against it. That would be horribly dangerous. And especially this plugin requires a database connection string, which I guess we can get into that right now. And this is what you do not, you don't want to give this to anyone. So ODBC, I already have this installed. So I guess here, let me show this. I have this up right now. So this web page right here, I'll put this in the description of the video. This is where you can download these drivers, install them. They're free. It's Microsoft. Um, and once you have it installed, you'll see it here. So like I was using this one before, so I can confirm that this driver works as well. But I've recently updated to the latest one when I was making this plugin. So I'm on 17. Let's get into this actually. So I'm gonna make a game mode because I mean this plugin can work anywhere, but I'm gonna make a game mode real quick because I have a lot of my queries in this and it doesn't replicate, meaning this only runs on server. And so game mode. I'm gonna try to go as fast as I can, but there's just a lot to this. I mean, this is back-end logic. So we got a game mode, and let's say begin play. What we want to do? Oh, if your plugin is not enabled, make sure you go into here, enable it. Gotta restart. Mine was not enabled. I guess we can get into the database too. So this is my actual like Water Pursuits project. It's not running. This is where I actually developed the plugin in as well. My database is actually hosted in Azure. I'll show you guys this as well. I've already got pulled up. So this is an ODBC connection string. You'll need this. This is what it looks like. So for your guys's, or even mine, I'm not gonna put this like driver should equal this exact name right here. It shouldn't have the squiggly brackets. That's misleading. Don't put those brackets in there, but that right there should equal that. It's already got my username in there. And password, again, don't have the squiggly brackets. It should just say password equals and just the text there. Kind of like the username is. You'll notice there's no squigglies around that. I don't know why they syntactically made that way. Um, okay, so now the plugin's ready. Oh, I actually needed that driver though. Did I close that? I need that. Okay, actually, yeah, I'm gonna make that side first. So I do this. I'll explain this in a second. I'm gonna make a new blueprint function library though, so I can paste this variable. And then connection string. Whoops. And that's where this goes. So my driver is actually ODBC 17. Ooh. And this just exactly equals what that name was in ODBC. So like if you were on a native one or native driver, like you would instead, it would literally just say SQL native client 11 right there. So that's the name of it. It's already got my username and password. I need to pull this off the screen because I don't want to give you guys my password. And this is, I mean, this is for sure, like, you don't want to give this to a client. Oh, and that's the thing too. So variables, let me make another one so I can show you. Variables can be set by the config file, and that's what you want to do. Um, oh, can this one not be set by config in here? I know there's a way to do it. I haven't played around. Basically, you don't want this actually embedded. I don't know if, I feel like someone could maybe reverse engineer and get it, but that connection string sensitive. You don't want to ever have a player getting that. So what I do is I have config variables or config files, text files that will be populated from a config file. So it's never actually in the game. It's only on my game servers that I control. So yeah, let's get into this. Let's make a query. All right, so we got the plugin enabled, and we're gonna say construct query. We need to make this a variable. This is our query, and we'll just do this at begin play. We'll say, or actually, I'm gonna do one quick print string before we actually go into it. Whatever, that can stay connected. Oh, and those noobs out there, this output window, you're definitely gonna want that. Go to developer tools, output log. We definitely want a dedicated server, and I'm gonna run. And I did not see the print string I was expecting. Oh, because I have not set this up. I want my game mode. There we go. Alright, cool. Hello. And you'll see just right there, it only prints server. So this plugin can work anywhere in any blueprint. But you don't want, it'd probably be just good coding standard. Just say is dedicated server at all times before you execute these. And I'm not going to put what happens if false. You should. Don't leave dead nodes. That gets really ugly and a pain to debug. Put like false here or something like that. But I'm going to leave a dead node because this is not a real project. Bind on finish. And again, this is a lot, so I'm just going as fast as I can. Add custom event. And I think once you guys see it working, you'll understand it. And this will be just the query, I don't know, finished, whatever. Misspelled finished. All right. So this is where I was getting into, or why I made this blueprint function library. So that's gonna bug me. This is why I got or made that function library. I like to, because you can do this, I guess. This is how it is kind of raw. You execute the query, and that's where you give it the connection string, SQL command, and that's kind of what the remote models will be. I'll get into that. I don't like to put these here because now you're kind of like having to put this variable everywhere and everything else. Just for organization purposes, I put this function, I wrap it inside of a function library. So I can just have like this would be called, I'd say execute, I think we're going to put in my items table, so we'll say execute items query. We'll name what this query is. And you can have a bunch of queries in here. Yeah, and this is a dumb spot to put this. I'm doing this for the tutorial. Mine's actually in my game mode, but I didn't feel like casting and all the other stuff in here. But yeah, you're gonna want a global spot for that. Oh, if I click it, it's gonna show you guys. Hang on. Okay, so I'll put that node in there, and this target obviously is looking for a database query. So database query. So we're going to execute this query. And we need a command, but let me go ahead and rig this up over here. So execute items query. So I just do it that way. Hopefully that makes sense. That in my project I have a list of all my queries right here, all my SQL stuff's right here. It helps on source control too, because then you could like kind of restrict only one person can play with the queries or something like that. So yeah, now I need a query. So let me show you guys. This is my SQL database. It's in Azure. That's what my connection strings to. We're going to be playing with my items table. I'm starting to get into inventory items. I'm kind of making a car MMO. Definitely don't make an MMO as your first game. Luckily, this is not my first. It's my second, and it's still overwhelming. So, okay, let's say view data. I've been on this project for a year. I probably have another 2 years before it's like ready for players. So this is what's in there right now. These are my simple items. let's see, what do we want to play? Let's make a new query. We'll just select from this table. Yeah, we'll say select item ID. I think I have an item. Oh, I have an item name. And what's like one of the size? Let's try to grab some size. So I'm grabbing an int, a string, and a float so we can see how each of those works. Sorry, I'm real OCD about this stuff. And then from, what am I doing? From order pursuits items table. Ta-da, so there's a little query. So let's use this in Unreal. Let's go back to our items query. This will be our command, and this will be our row model. And if you're a .NET developer, full stack guy, you might have heard entity models or just database models. This is kind of what this is. Basically, you got to tell the plugin what you're getting back, and this is kind of a pain to set up, but it's for performance, it's for speed. And so it's basically asking, what does a row look like? What is its columns? What are their types? It has to know for the buffer sizing and stuff when it's making the query. So I guess, yeah, this is our actual query. So let's go, we're selecting. Let's go ahead and split these. We're selecting an item ID. Let me just put all the names in there first. I'm gonna copy and paste, make sure I'm not doing any typos. Okay, so item ID is an integer. Item name is actually a string, and this is a float. And the strings actually have to have the string buffer size. And what that is it's just asking how many characters is it. In this case, the name can be 100 characters. So we put 100 there. Cool. So that's our query. We should be getting those back. And on our game mode side, on finished, we definitely want to say, or ask, did this succeed? And if it does, I've put a little dummy, or here, let's first do this. We'll say print fail. And on this, I've put a little debug kind of tool in here called print results table. It's not really built for a game or anything. It's just for developing. And you'll see why. It's just an ugly little printout. So now when I run, I see my items there. Ta-da. So I guess right now, there's definitely going to be people watching the video that didn't get to that point. And most likely it's because of your connection string. And I'll show you if this was wrong. I'm going to pull this off so you don't see it. So I'm going to take out the D in driver. The very first part of the string I'm going to remove. This thing's fighting me. Okay. So I've taken out driver. So you can see, I can show that. Right now my string is missing the D. Now when I try to run, it's not going to work. Prints fail there, but the plugin also in the code side will spit errors at you. Error or query failed connected to SQL. That most likely. And I've even tripped myself up forgetting another machine doesn't have ODBC installed or it's got a different driver. That's probably what it is. Something's wrong with your connection string. I guess try to test in something else as well. If it's not working in Unreal, try to get confirm that your connection string is good first. Let me add this D back in. Make sure we're back printing our results. Cool. So that's pretty much it, showing how I can actually talk to SQL and back. To go in deeper, let's grab the result rows and say for each of these guys. And what these, yeah, hopefully that's intuitive. These are just all the rows of the return table. For all of these, get rows. So you can say get column by name, and you probably want to. You don't want to be doing indexing because if you were to ever add a column or someone reorganizes your database table, it's going to blow up. So definitely go by name. Let's go with item name. Man, what am I doing? I'm trying to go too fast. Item name. So you can say this, get value as string. This works on all tables. You'll see, or all columns, I mean. print this, and it's not working for some reason. Hang on. Let me save everything real quick. That is what it is, yeah, item name. I got a bug. Actually, let me make sure. Item name. Where's that coming from? Is my database lagging me? Let's see. Oh, I'm never printing it. Sorry guys, being an idiot. Smooth is fast. Or slow is smooth, smooth is fast, huh? I need to chill out. Alright, cool. So I got my names there. Now this is cool for a string, but if you're really going for performance, you don't really want to do that. So let's say we're grabbing, or let's just change this one. Let's say we're grabbing the, what's that size variable name? This table, size centimeters cubed, which this is actually a float. We probably don't want to turn this into a string to print, or I mean we're going to because we're going to print it. But you probably don't want to turn it into a string and then back into a float because A, it's a float, you're going to lose a little bit of precision, and B, there's no point. That's wasteful. So what you want to do instead is you want to cast this to a float column. And this is, it knows this because of this. This is why you have to set these up. And so float column, and then now we can get the value as a float. So now we're never having to convert it to a string until we want to print it out. Oh wait, it's going to default to that. And now we should just see our sizes print out. So those sizes equal these sizes. You can see it's printing the size of all my items now. And that's a simple select statement, I guess. That's pretty much it. Oh, if you're looping through all the columns, say like you just want to print all these out, I guess, for some reason. You can get the column type. Oh, you have to go to the actual columns, I guess. Yeah, for each. Oh wait, I have this in my picture. Never mind. I can show it this way real quick. So if you can do it basically this way. So and I show in this picture, you can go from the column, like a column, and get. Yeah, this is looping through the columns now. So you can get the column value as a string and print it like we did, or you can say what is its type, so I know what to cast to. If you're doing it this way. So yeah, that's kind of showing how it works. I guess I can show. Let me show an update. Yeah, because this could be important info too. We don't need items anymore. We don't care. Store procedures. Yeah, let me show you guys how you can do a store procedure. What did I break over here? Whatever. Okay, so you don't have to have a database model. This can also be null. In my case, though, this store procedure that I'm going to use returns, I think, 3 things, maybe just 2 things. I'm going to use my stored vehicle store procedure. And in this case, we're going to need to build this string. We're going to say execute. Wait, what's the name of this? We need a space at the end of that. And so, yeah, this thing's parameters. We have a character ID. We'll have to equal something. I think mine is 6. I think I already know that. Structure ID. We're going to say 1. I know that's a garage in game. And a vehicle ID, which we'll need to go find a vehicle. Vehicle ID will equal something else. Let me make sure I have spaces at the end of all of these. Okay. And we use vehicle ID 281. No, we shouldn't have a vehicle storage slot. Okay, so that's null because it means it's not stored. So we can store this one. So now when I run my query, oh, and it comes back, and that's kind of what I want to show you guys. So no count, set no count's important. So like what this query does is I have to make I think this is making an inventory, or no, this is just getting a slot. Sorry, this is a different sort of procedure. So I'm doing two things. I'm actually updating rows, and then I'm selecting back the character ID and the vehicle ID, and you should select something back. You should get receipts for your queries to make sure they're working. I don't need this one though. So what I get back from this one is a character ID, which is an integer, and a vehicle ID, which is also an integer. Okay, cool. So when I run this, and we're just going to use the debug print results table. When I run this, that should populate that vehicle with a storage slot ID. Okay, so it ran. I got my 6 and my 522 back. I think that's the vehicle, or I'm not even sure about the return anymore. That was the vehicle ID? What? I feel like that's wrong on my store procedure side. I don't know. Either case, I know this works. I need to look into that though. That store procedure might have an issue. So if I refresh, you'll see that this update 281, and now it's been stored in the garage, which has ID 1. So I'm gonna set this back to null though. So that's pretty much it. That's a store procedure. How you can execute store procedures against the database. Where was I? Oh, I don't even need these. You can execute store procedures. You can do normal raw SQL statements. Something to look out for though. If you're doing raw SQL statements, I would I just wouldn't even do raw SQL statements honestly. I do store procedures because it's a nice layer. Let's say if my game is published and I find an error in a store procedure, like this one might have something to clean up even though it's working. There might be something weird with this one. I could actually still update, publish, and work on the back end a little bit without having to republish the game. It's just an extra layer. It's organization. It's nice, but you can do raw SQL statements if you want. Um, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I'm gonna show. That's all I have to show. Um, yeah, I guess I'll end the video here. That's my plugin. That's what we were playing with. Works really well. I put a decent amount of hours into this. I can promise you guys this is easily worth $100. I just know there's a lot of indie guys out there and stuff like that that don't want to pay $100 for something that they're clueless to. And I honestly might start raising this price as I start getting reviews and ratings and it starts getting more solid. I'll be working on this for at least another 2 years, keeping this plugin up to date. This was running on 421, and 421 just came out like 2 days ago. They just approved it. I actually submitted an update the day 421 came out. I'm gonna keep this very current, at least for a while. And yeah, if you guys find any issues, you're stuck, you're confused, definitely hit me up. My email reminder or my email notifications seem to kind of mess up sometimes though, so don't always get to them instantly. Sorry. I'll at least try to check on it once a week. I think like I had a comment down here, like I didn't get to that guy for a little while. Sorry. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, buy my plugin. Give me your money. It works. It's awesome. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys.